Hello and welcome to In PSwetrust. This is episode 2. My name's Davey and joining with me today is Phil.
What's up?
And Spencer.
Hello.
Now we're a fortnightly PlayStation podcast and we're going to take you through the news and all the big comings and goings of PlayStation. But first, before we get into any of that, tell me, anything interesting happened in the last couple of weeks to you?
Not a single thing. I've been in lockdown for ages and now they're making it more strict. So I can't even go to the pub, which is fine because Lidl's is around the corner and they sell Budweisers.
Oh, that's not too bad. Where'd you get the money for your Budweisers from, mate?
I had a sponsor from the podcast, funnily enough.
Oh yeah, do tell.
Podcast is bringing in money already, is it?
A bit of money from maybe even someone to do with the podcast, actually.
Well, there we go. We could probably raise a glass. Cheers to that anonymous donator of Spencer's beer tonight.
Just for the record and for openness with our audience, do you want to disclose who was the anonymous donor?
It's Phil. Phil sponsored me today.
So what I need everyone to think while they're listening to this, if Spencer starts agreeing with everything Phil says, we know exactly why, and we know that Spence can be bought. So I just want everyone to keep that in mind here. So if we start hearing Phil talking about PlayStation Plus and how crap it all is, and then Spence starts saying, "Oh, I agree, mate," then we know that something fishy's gone on here. All right?
Hang about. Just because I buy him a couple of beers doesn't mean he's going to change his point of view, on all these points, mate.
Maybe not all of them, but because that would be too obvious then. But if a couple start changing, I'll be straight there to pick it up. So what about yourself, Phil? Anything gone on the last couple of weeks?
Well, not really. As much as you boys are on lockdown over in Wales, in England it hasn't really hit us just yet. We're hearing about more and more sort of COVID outbreaks. My missus was coming home today, and there's been a case in a school, which is pretty severe. So a bunch of classes from her school have been sent home. So it won't be long until we're locked down over here in England.
Mate, all I want to do is get together so we can play that Resi 2 board game you got.
I know. Hey, I've just read all the rules to it, actually. It does look epic. And there's expansions you could buy as well. So once we've had a few games, I'll buy a few more bits to it and we'll see if we can go through the whole story of Resident Evil 2.
Mate, that'd be so hype.
Yeah.
I got something to tell you guys, right? This is weird, right? Just after we recorded the last podcast, it was a couple of days later, I'd just been editing the shit out of this podcast. It was doing my editing. I go out to my car just to drive to work, and my neighbour from 2 doors up comes up to me. He goes, "Oh, I heard you're a bit of a gamer," right? And I don't know why he sounds like the merchant from Resident Evil 4, but that's how I'm imagining it in my head. He's like,
"What are you buying?"
Yeah, he's like, "I heard you're a bit of a gamer." I was like, yeah, I am."
Is that a pickup line in your parts, David?
It sounds like it, doesn't it?
It really does.
And then he's like, "Oh, I got something to show you." And I was thinking, "Oh,
hello?
This is where I die. This is where I die. This is where I get raped or something, right?" And he's like, "Come on, show me. I'll show you what I got, right?" And I was like, "Okay." So I go to the front door, and he's like, "Are these any good?" And he pulls out Duke Nukem, Time to Kill
way.
on PS1,
Oh, hello.
Dancing Star Party Edition on PS1, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire on PS1.
Oh, that'd be
Hype.
class to play.
And then we start in the next generation, Tekken 4 on PS2, and Robot Wars on PS2.
Robot Wars. Wow.
Did you ever play that game?
No.
That game was sick.
So I was like, he was like, "Do you want them?" And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I was like, but I'll take them. Sure.
What did he want in return for these games? Because we're on webcam now, and you're showing them off, so you must have got them somehow.
Mate, no, honestly, he was just like, "Take them." And then he's like, "Oh, what
Take
about
it.
this? Is it?" He's like, "Oh, are these good?" And I was like, "They're mega old." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, the PS5's just coming out now." I was like, "It's been like 7 years since the PS4." So, and these are PS1 games. I was like, so I was a kid when those were out. I probably got them somewhere. And he's like, "Oh, okay, all right." And then he was like, "Oh, what about this?" And he pulls out a slim PS3.
Nice.
No way.
Nice.
Yeah, and he's like, "Do you want this?" And I was like, I draw the line at taking your old
Hardware.
games, right? But I'm not taking your PS3. I was like, "Do you watch anything on streaming or anything?" And he's like, "Yeah, I watch Netflix." I was like, "You could just use your PS3 for it." Just use your PS3 for like, streaming and like Amazon Video and Netflix and all that stuff. And next thing you know, I've been roped into, I've given him a pad and I bought him a HDMI. So I'm proper out of pocket here. I'm like proper down on these old trash games. Duke Nukem Time to Kill's class, and so is Tekken 4. But I'm not rating Robot Wars without playing it, and I bet it's trash.
Play Robot Wars.
It's got...
Yeah, I think you've lost out.
Is it Sir Kill-A-Lot? Is that his name? What's the name on the front?
I could not tell you.
Phil probably knows. What's his name, mate?
So it is Sir Kill-A-Lot, but there's... what are the other names of their...
The other House Robots.
House Robots, that's it. Yeah. I think there's Sergeant Bash.
That's it. Is he the flamethrower guy?
I think he is. There's Matilda. She's the dinosaur one, isn't she? With the tail that's got the saw.
She's on the front of this. Tell you what, these graphics look absolutely trash. They look so bad. And I like the font on the back of it. It says, only the strongest will survive. Can you see that, boys?
I can, yeah.
Isn't that the you wouldn't steal a car font?
Yeah, it is. It is. It really is. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's honestly, it's horrendous.
Just before you move on, but I hope you suggested, now he's a PlayStation guy, that he might want to listen to one of our podcasts.
I think I might have to get him involved in it. The only problem is that I might have to get him involved at episode 3, because otherwise he'll hear this. So, and he doesn't...
He'd be right round to get his games back.
In reality, yeah, he might do, yeah. In reality, he doesn't sound like the merchant from Resident Evil 4, but
Here's the apologies.
I like to believe that he does. His voice would be better if it was Resident Evil 4. In fact, if you're somehow listening to this, if I got you into the podcast at episode 3 and you're going back to listen to episode 2, whenever you speak to me, I want you to do the Resident Evil 4 voice. All right? I don't want you to talk normally anymore because you sound trash compared to that. Okay? Just in case you somehow listen to this. Hopefully he never goes back. But we'll find out next week for listener mail, I guess. So that's everything interesting that's happened in my life the last couple of weeks. But have any of you been playing anything interesting the last couple of weeks? Spence, what about you?
Well, it's been on my list for a very long time. And I finally started it again after starting it ages ago and I wouldn't say not enjoying it, but not committing to it. But I've started playing Dark Souls 1.
Ooh.
So I've beaten all the others. Or I'd say beaten all the others. I've beaten 2, 3 and Bloodborne. Never beaten Demon Souls, so I wanted to get Dark Souls 1 off my list before Demon Souls on PS5 came out.
How far are you through it?
Oh, it's hard to say because I'm not sure how the progression works. I've done the top bell, and I went down and killed the butterfly, which, fuck me, that butterfly. It's such a pain in the arse.
What, you thought she was hard?
She wasn't hard, she was just annoying. She had the freaking laser beam attacks where you either shield the one and guarantee dodge the second, somehow dodge both, or just get hit by both, and there's no option.
You just walk all the way to the other end, and just if you're fighting her on a bridge, aren't you? For the moonlit butterfly,
this like dragging laser, aren't you?
If she's in the middle, just move all the way over, yeah, and you just use your iframes when you roll to dodge the little quick ones.
I don't like the quick ones. The quick ones are the only ones I didn't like. The slow one, easiest thing in the world. Walk to the right, roll left, easy. The long laser depends where she was. If she was on the far side, easy to dodge. You just unlock your aim and run away. If she was in the middle, you're a bit fucked.
She's got to be the worst boss in the whole of Souls, I reckon. She's very awful. Boring. So boring.
Very, very boring.
So, Spence, what was the reason to go back to playing Dark Souls 1 then? Was it just you hadn't played this game before, or was it all the previous talk of the Dark Soul kind of universe in Podcast 1?
It was entirely just because of hype for Demon Souls.
Oh, well, there we go.
I've beaten all the others. Dark Souls was the only one left on the list before Demon Souls. I just wanted to get it done, and I want to get it done before Demon Souls. Don't know if I will. I definitely should. How
many hours is it? Do you guys know?
It's like 50. It's like 50 hours, I think.
50 hours.
I've seen you can, like, most people take some 50, but you can beat it in like 20-ish.
I think I did it in about 35. It depends if you're including all the DLC in that as well. I imagine you are. Probably 40 hours, I reckon. Solid guess. I reckon 40 hours. You can get that done easy, mate.
Well, my goal's to just beat the main game, but if I enjoy it a lot when I beat it, I'll probably go back and do the DLC.
The DLC is the best part. The DLC is the best part of it. Honestly, it is. The best boss fight is in the DLC.
I definitely have the time. I should definitely do it, but
we got how many episodes we got now, boys? Until PS5's out. 2 more?
Jeez.
2 more episodes, maybe.
That's insane.
If we're
to put it
keeping
like
things
that.
fortnightly, then yeah, we've 2 more episodes. So we'll track your progress through Demon Souls then.
The next time we record is the 6th. And after that, it'll be the 20th. So we'll have had it for a day. So you've got...
That'll be a great podcast.
See if you can finish it. Before then, mate.
I'll
Easy.
definitely get it done by then. That 20th podcast will be freaking brilliant to record.
Yeah, be lit.
Does that challenge go out to both of us? Because the game I've been playing this week, I hear is quite lengthy.
Oh yeah, what have you been playing?
So I've gone back now and started playing Resident Evil 3 after recently completing Resident Evil 2.
What, the original or the remake?
The remake on PS4. I hear, though, there is only 6 to 8 hours of story content, though. So hopefully I should be able to get that done in a month's time.
Oh, mate, you should easily get it done. Easily. I think my first playthrough of it took me about 8 hours, I reckon. 8.5, maybe.
Okay.
But I play like Resi's really, really slow. I platinumed it, and at the end, by the last run I did on Platinum, it was down to about a 40-minute game.
Really?
Because
I've seen some of the trophies, and it says you can complete the game in under 2 hours, can't you?
So
if you're doing it in 40 minutes, wow. Yeah, I'm pretty much like you. I think on my first run through, I like to explore everything and try and see all the parts of the story and collect all the items. I think I'm probably about an hour and a half in, and yeah, I've got someone on my tail.
Oh, so you've met Nemesis then?
You meet Nemesis in the first 5 minutes.
Oh no, but I mean you've seen him on the streets now.
I've seen him on the streets, and I've taken him down a few times. He's dropped a couple of tasty little items for me, which is nice. I'm glad to see they've kept that in the game.
I want to know where he stores them. The trench coat's pretty tight, isn't it? It's pretty tight.
They're like huge boxes, aren't they? That he just seems to drop, and they just seems to, huddle on the floor while you run over and pick it up. if I had downed him in real life, I'd be out of there, mate. I wouldn't be going up, finding out, and trying to pick his pockets.
Well, see, this is the thing about it. If he keeps throwing stuff at you, right, I'd just tie him up. I'd somehow find a way to tie him up, and I'd just milk him for everything. And not in a gay way, not that kind of way, but I'd get every single item you could out of him.
Not that there's anything wrong being gay, of course. This
no,
podcast
of course not.
is open to all persuasions.
True, but I don't want to be sitting there, jacking off Nemesis. I'd want to just have him, just nick all his gun parts he's got.
But it's that video game mentality, isn't it? You wouldn't do that in real life. If you knock someone over, would you go up and rob them? It's if they drop their wallet on the floor, hey, there it is. That's for me.
It's as long as you shout scramble. As long as you shout scramble, it's fair game, I reckon.
Is that the rules in the valleys, eh?
That's the rules in life. If someone shouts scramble when you chuck something on the floor, you know that it's up for grabs.
Okay, I got a
Scramble!
question for you. I got a question for you. So you got Mr. X or Nemesis. Who would you rather have chase you down?
Oh, Mr. X. Easy.
Really?
Anything. Out of the two. Now, if you're comparing in the game, then Mr. X is way scarier.
Yeah, I think
Nemesis
Mr. X is scarier, but I haven't probably got to the parts where I have to encounter Nemesis too much. I've done a couple of smaller brawls, but I don't know if there's like a boss fight at a certain part in the game. Mr. X, I think is way scarier.
I'm not going to spoil anything for you, because the game, I loved it. Now, it's a pretty divisive opinion, actually, because the majority of people don't like Resident Evil 3 Remake. They think it moves too far away from what the original was, which is a fair criticism.
It's much more action-paced, isn't it? Action-packed, like, straight away. Straight out of the gate, there's a burning helicopter, and Nemesis is chasing you, and, like, within the first hour, I've got the shotgun and upgraded it.
Yeah, it does move at such a quick pace.
Yeah, mad.
The thing about it is, right, Resident Evil 2, it just takes the horror element and pushes it to the absolute max. And Resident Evil 2 is actually so scary, and it's just the dread that you feel as you're playing it, knowing that you can't make any noise, you got lickers around so you can't make noise, you have to walk past them really slowly, and then with you walking slowly you got Mr. X on your ass, which makes you then absolutely cack it. The original Resident Evil 3 was a lot more action focused than Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 1 before it, and so they decided, right, well, let's lean into that with this, and let's make it very streamlined. Let's just streamline the whole point of the game, which is an escape for Jill to get out of Raccoon City. That's what she wants to do, and she got Nemesis on her ass. let's just streamline it all towards that. Instead of her taking a detour through this separate mansion part and any of that stuff, they just cut all this separate stuff away and streamlined it. You've got to take it on its own merit, because you've got the original there to play if you want to. I loved it. From start to finish, it's one of the most replayable Resident Evils recent years anyway.
So we only got the one story there with Resident Evil 3, haven't we? Jill's story. And then, of course, in the Resident Evil remake, we've got Leon and Claire's. So there's kind of double the offer in there with Resident Evil 2. But yeah, no, I agree with you. It is action-packed straight away. But I don't know. I much prefer the pacing of Resident Evil 2. I feel like in Resident Evil 3, the zombies are there just to waste your ammo when you're getting from place to place, as opposed to in Resident Evil 2, it seemed a bit more strategic as to why the zombies were attacking you. Do you see what I mean? Yeah?
No, I do. And I suppose it's a difference in what the game's intended, because you'll never really... Well, I never found myself running short on any ammo in Resident Evil 3, ever. I always found there was way more than I needed. Whereas in Resident Evil 2, I was constantly checking how much ammo I had and picking my shots and making sure I kept certain zombies alive so I can just run past them instead of dealing with them. Whereas Resident Evil 3, everything was fair game to me.
Resident Evil 2 seemed like you had, 5 bullets and you had 10 zombies, so you had to choose which zombies you wanted to take on. In Resident Evil 3, it just seems like you got 50 bullets and 5 zombies. Kill them if you want. If not, carry the ammo around. It
is like that, and it's pretty crazy, really, how much the game just wants you to just keep moving. It's just all around movement in that game, and just keeping you progressing, keeping moving. The puzzles are all really simple compared to Resident Evil 2. There's way less of them. It's like everything is there just to streamline it. Do you know the reason why the game is so much shorter compared to Resident Evil 2?
It just seems like an afterthought, really. The whole development of it.
No. What was originally supposed to happen was the Resident Evil 2 and 3 were supposed to release on the same time as a multi-pack. They were supposed to release together.
Okay.
And what happened was that Resident Evil 3 got delayed in its... one of them got delayed, and one of them was taking a little bit longer, and they decided then to milk it a little bit and release them as separate releases.
Be careful what you say, because I know some of our listeners fact check exactly what you say. So
no, this is true. This is absolutely true. And so what happened is they ended up releasing them on separate concurrent years, so they can milk it a little bit more. And that's why they've included the Resident Evil Resistance mode into Resident Evil 3. Sure. Have you checked that out yet?
I was going to come on to that. I think that's the PS Plus, isn't it?
It is. You've fallen right into my trap. So
I didn't even see it on my disc.
Have you ever played Dead by Daylight or Friday the 13th or any of those yet?
So I've played the Resident Evil multiplayers on the PS2. The online multiplayers on PS2.
What, you mean Outbreak?
Outbreak and Outbreak Volume 2. I've played those in the past.
It's nothing like them.
Oh, okay, great. Is it anything like the Resident Evil 5 multiplayer that we used to play?
No, it's exactly the same as Dead by Daylight.
Never played it.
So it's basically what it is. You've got one person who's kind of like an overlord, right? And they're kind of controlling enemy placement within the map.
Okay.
They can put like environmental hazards in. And I think, if I remember rightly, in Resistance, they can also at certain points summon in like a monster, which they can control. Sure. So you can summon in like William Birkin from Resident Evil 2, and you can control him to beat up the other characters. And the rest of the players, there's 4 other players who are just normal people, all play multiplayer, trying to complete different missions to survive and get out. And it's the Overlord's job to kill them. Asymmetrical multiplayer is what it is.
It sounds a lot like me and my brother used to play a game, like a Half-Life mod, called Natural Selection. And Natural Selection had that idea where one player would take over the control of a force and be able to like put things down within the map to affect the outcome of the game. It's quite interesting. It's just a different kind of... You're not just running at people with a gun. You're top down instead of first person.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. The problem was when I was playing it, and granted it could be fixed now, the wait time to actually get into a game was absolutely insane.
Okay.
I was playing it week 1 of it coming out, which is when obviously the player base would be at its highest, and it was taking me like 30 minutes of being in wait time.
Wow.
And I was like, this is ridiculous.
It's not worth it, is it?
Game. No, I played one game and just backed out. I couldn't bother.
Sure.
Yeah, it just wasn't for me. But, fair play. I think the great game is great value for what it is. Honestly do. I think I ended up playing it through 6 times to get the platinum. Yeah, and it's so enjoyable. It moves at such a fast pace that before you know it's over. And you can just get it done so quickly. But yeah, around the hour mark, I think, is my completion time. I was thinking about it just then while we were talking. I think pro speedrunners get it done in about 40, so I'm nowhere near that.
What is going on with Carlos's hair, though?
Oh, what do you mean? He's a sexy beast.
When that guy comes onto the screen and he's got those curly locks,
Oh,
it's a strange look.
oh, Carlos. He's such a babe.
And he's flirting with Jill, frame one.
He is an alpha lad. He is the absolute top lad. He's like my favourite lad in Resident Evil. He's so good. He's so good. His first words, I think, are like, "Hey, fuckface," or something, as he shoots the rocket launcher into Nemesis. So class. Class.
And then he comes on the radio and starts like...
He's the kind of guy that you'd want to go to a bar with. But the problem is that he'd pull every single woman you're chatting to. That's the problem. And you couldn't bring him home to meet your wife or whatever, because he'd end up banging her. He's just too much of an alpha lad.
And on that note, I'll swiftly move on. There's one thing that we've sort of dodged around. The dodge mechanic.
Oh. How are you getting on with it? Because it's pretty strict. It's pretty strict timing.
The first time it happened, and the screen flashes when you do a perfect dodge, I believe that's what happened. Yeah, it kind of shocked me, because I was like, well, what just happened? And I tried to do it again, and it didn't happen, so I was a bit confused, because I didn't really understand it the first time it happened, but now I understand that if you press it at the perfect time, obviously you get past the zombies or away from Nemesis.
Yeah, and you can do multiple in one go, if you get it right.
Okay.
So it becomes essential at higher difficulty runs.
Okay.
Like absolutely essential, because enemies at higher difficulty runs, the game feels completely different.
Sure.
If you're playing it on like extreme or professional or any of those difficulties.
You normally play easy, yeah?
No, mate. I played it through on normal on my first time, as
normal.
I always do.
Okay.
I did it on hard, and then I went back then to do extreme and whatever the highest difficulty is, with unlimited ammo, because I'm not that hardcore.
Would you say this is a harder game than Resident Evil 2 on the higher difficulties? No? Okay.
Oh, well, I don't know. The problem is, the big difference is that I'm too much of a wuss to try it myself without unlimited ammo and an unlimited rocket launch. So I don't know. But all I know is that I tried it. I originally started the run without using those items and died pretty much immediately. And I was like, ooh, okay, maybe I need these as a crutch. And so I used them. So even though I've played the majority of Resident Evil titles, I'm not built like that. I'm not built for that.
I've completed Resident Evil 2 on hard, and that kind of feels like if the zombie touches you twice, you're dead. So you kind of get one chance at it.
Well, yeah, I think I got hit twice and I died. And seeing as the numbers are so big on the enemies and they take such a long time to die on like extreme or whatever it's called, I was just getting murked. So I was like, nope, this isn't for me. Especially when Nemesis turns up, I was like, oh no. You got to just be perfectly dodging your ass off the entire time.
When he broke through that first wall, yeah, it was a bit of a shocker. And you run away, and he jumps over you. I was like, was that in the first game?
No, definitely not.
I was like, he could jump now?
Such a good game. Have you got to have you been to the power plant yet?
Yeah, I've just turned on the electricity with all the bugs who seek to impregnate you, which is kind of interesting.
It's proper hentai scene, that is. When she goes to that door. And
yeah.
It's like straight down her throat. I was like, oh, gosh.
Because you have to take it the first time, don't you?
You do, yeah.
I might have to buy this game. What?
Yeah, it's something else. It is something else.
Well, there we go. Now we got Spencer's attention. Spence, what else have you been playing? I see something else on your list.
Well, see, opposed to that, I'd rather keep it on the Resident Evil track.
Oh.
Davey, what first game have you been playing?
As we all know, it's spooky season, isn't it? I decided for my YouTube channel that I was going to do a review of Resident Evil 0. It's the only numbered Resident Evil I haven't played. And so I was like, okay, I'll give that a go. My review went up a couple of days ago from the day that you're hearing this. You can find it at SSJ Davey. That's me on Twitter. You can find me on there. Or you can find it just on YouTube, SSJ Davey. But yeah, basically, Resident Evil 0, I mean, it's just a game that I should love. It just makes one fatal flaw, which just ruins the entire experience.
What's that?
It doesn't have an item box.
Yeah, but you've got two characters to trade the items back and forth with.
But you're losing 2 squares out of your entire inventory immediately for having to carry that hook shot throughout the entire game.
It's meant to be difficult, though, isn't it? It's meant to be like, I can't just leave stuff with him because he's going to go off on his own, and you get separated all the time.
You do. But that wasn't the problem. For those that don't know, in Resident Evil you have an item box. So the item box means that you can deposit items in there and pick them up at any point later in the game at a separate item box. They're all connected.
It's another video game trope. You wouldn't find this in real life, just in video games. I think it's important to highlight.
I think it's important to try this for yourself. When you're next in work, leave your phone in a cupboard and then get home and open the cupboard at home. See what happens.
Was there ever a phone in Resident Evil? I think it's better to have a key with a diamond shape on the bottom. And then when you get home and you pick up that key, you go, it's a key. Maybe it can open something.
Maybe it can open a lock. Inspect it. Yeah, just inspect the key. Turn it over.
It's a very Resident Evil thing, isn't it? Find out what this key does. I need to inspect it. Oh, it's a key. It's going to open something.
And it always says something like, this key must open some kind of lock. No, you don't reckon, do you? But yeah, basically, the lack of an item box for me killed it, because it just meant that instead of having the item box, I was just hoarding items next to a save point. So you'd go into a room and it was like a magpie's den. It was just full of all these little sparkles from where all these items are left. When it came to the final boss, I had to run all the way back through the entire map to go and find these items. It's just so annoying. The amount of times that I'd literally be walking 5 steps and then going into the character menu to then move items between them. It just felt like inventory management, which is normally my favourite thing, was dialed up to 11, and it was just too far. It was just too far. But yeah, I played that for completion. I mean, for my full thoughts, you can just check out YouTube. Thing I've just played, and I just completed it last night actually, is Man of Medan. Do you guys have any idea what that is?
I have no idea what it is, what it entails, what kind of game it is. I don't know a thing.
Is it a multiple choice game? Is it kind of like quick time events and it's kind of trying to tell a story?
Yes. So basically what it is, it's done by Supermassive, who are the same team who developed Until Dawn on PS4, which is one of my favourite exclusives on PS4. And it's just a horror story about a ghost ship. But all it is really, it's got Iceman himself, Sean Ashton or whatever his name is. The guy from The Boys is Lamplighter. Oh. And he's in it. He's one of the main characters. And there's a load of other random people I didn't know. It's really well acted. And it's good dialogue. And it's got a lot of jump scares. Control these kids. And you've got to see the story through. And the choices you make, they're either going to live or die. You could die at various points.
And the story can be different each time, can't it?
Yeah. And because of that, it's a short game. It's only about 4 hours long. I picked it up for a tenner. The game when it came out was £24.99, I think.
So it wasn't from the guy down the road who is your new game supplier?
It wasn't from the merchant. No, the merchant didn't give it to me.
Okay.
He's still dealing in PS2. So in about 10, 15 years, I might be able to pick it up from him.
Okay, if he's a game dealer, chuck my number his way.
I was going to say I'll put you in contact, mate.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I played that and that was really good. I certainly wouldn't recommend anyone pay more than 15 quid for it, because I don't think it's worth any more than that, just because of how short it is. And granted, it's really, really replayable. So I'm just started my second playthrough of it now, because it's one of those games where you make a couple of mistakes and you know it's all on you. You're like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like you fuck up a QTE or you mess up. There's this bit, right, where it does it a few times throughout the game, where your character's standing still and it's like control your heartbeat. And so you gotta like slow your breathing so you don't like panic. It would come up with this line across the screen and it will have like the heartbeat dots and you gotta press X at the same time as the heartbeat dot. I found it really hard, right? I found it really hard. And I messed up all of them, except for one. The one I passed. I was like, oh, thank God, I've saved my character. And he walks out the room, and I literally fail the next QTE. He just dies. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. I was so gutted.
I hate quick time event.
I love quick time events.
Press X to win. I press circle.
It's so fun, though. Honestly, it's just really fun. And because it's just a horror game, it does all the tropes. And what I noticed myself playing it, which I found really interesting, was all the tropes that are in horror games or horror films I was doing. So you can see something in the environment, right? There's like a coffin. And in a horror film, you think, why the fuck are you opening that coffin? What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And in the game, I'm like, oh, I can interact with that coffin. So next thing you know, I like start opening it up and then it jump scares me. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. It was class. It was absolutely class.
Nice.
But that's been it. So, I mean, Little Hope comes out in a couple of weeks, which is the sequel, because it's an anthology series eventually, called the Dark Pictures Anthology by Supermassive. So, Little Hope, which is the next one of that, comes out in a week's time on the 30th. So I'm probably going to pick that up when that comes out, because I'm proper in the mood for these horror games at the moment. Really, really feeling it. And that's really it for me, lads. I mean, have you guys been playing anything? Phil, I'm sure I saw a competition that you won on Twitter.
Yeah. So I've been very lucky. So I support a team called Excel Esports. They're a League of Legends team, and they've also got a player. They've also got a player in Fortnite called Wolfie, who's pretty big. I think top 10 in the world.
He hasn't seen me build.
No one's seen you build because you can't do it.
Do you play Fortnite, mate? That's one of the free-to-play games on PlayStation. You don't actually need PS Plus to play Fortnite on PlayStation.
Oh, no, we're not getting into this again, mate. We're not getting into this. Oh, Jesus.
I've got a long list of games you could play, mate. If you need me to reel them off, I can.
Well,
such games as Apex Legends, H1Z1, Fortnite, Final Fantasy, DC Universe, Star Trek Online. The list goes on and on. Classic games, amazing, MMOs, Battle Royales. Free to play online. Why can companies do that and other companies need you to pay that £10 a month?
I'm not even going to respond to you. Do you know why? Because I left an open call for the audience to do this for me, and I'm waiting for people to write in about that topic. I've had a lot of people write in about different things, which I'll include later on.
Okay.
But nobody responded to our call of action for that, and I know that Spence is bound by silence for that beer money that you gave him. So it means that I'm talking to a brick wall in talking to you, so I'm not even going to go there.
So every 2 weeks, it's going to cost me a tenner to keep Spencer's silence.
All I'll say on the topic is, since the last podcast, I no longer have a PS Plus subscription.
There it is.
This money, this beer money, is changed you, mate. It's changed you. I don't even know if I know you anymore. This is horrendous. I feel like I'm losing my support bubble of people who share similar views to myself, and now everyone's turning into Phil. And I can't be doing this. I can't be doing this.
It's since I got the word out on podcast episode 1. You saw the numbers. Now people are changing their minds. Subconsciously, they're like, do I need PS Plus? They're starting to question life. They've heard Philip Hoy in PSwetrust talk about how we don't need PS Plus in our lives. And they're all converted. They're singing hallelujah, mate.
All I know is that I looked at the age demographic of our podcast, and it's split all over the place, right? Even up to plus 60s. Now, I tell you, if you're in your plus 60s and you're listening to this podcast and you think that Phil has any wisdom, he's told you he's not even in his prime yet on the last episode. So don't trust him. I'm in my prime, and I can tell you, you need PS Plus. It is good. But let's park that for another day or for later in the episode. So what was this coaching all about, mate? Because you started telling me about Fortnite, but what was the coaching all about?
Anyway, right. So I won a competition with Excel. It was a simple retweet on Twitter. I've managed to blag a coaching session with one of the pros, which I've later found out is going to be streamed on the HyperX network. So we're going to have quite a few thousand people watching me play a game on Patrick's team, and he's going to give me some live coaching, which is going to be quite interesting. So Patrick is the AD carry. So he plays the bottom lane Davey in League of Legends. He's the marksman. He's the guy who does all the damage in the games. And I play top lane. So sometimes I'll play carry or I'll play tank. A lot of the time I've been playing top lane Kale at the moment. So normally I'll just scale to 6, try not to die in lane, and then at the end game try and take over. So fingers crossed that all comes together on stream, because it's going to be intense.
Does any of this have anything to do with the jungle?
No, neither of us play jungle.
I don't want to know about it then, mate. I don't want to know about it. I'll tune in though, and you best give a shout out to the podcast while you're on there, mind.
Well, what I was thinking of doing, because I'll probably be on webcam anyway, is have some strategic messaging in the background of our podcast or my Twitter handle, or you never know. We'll see. The
RSS feed in the background, just there ready for people to check out.
Yeah, but part of the competition, I also get to sort of pose a couple of questions to Patrick. But I've sent them over to the Excel boys, and I've kind of structured it more like an interview, because hopefully in future episodes on the podcast, I'll get to interview a few people. So this is my trial. I'm going to interview Patrick, give him a couple of questions, and see how that all works.
Ooh, we'll pick this up offline. But you should ask him some questions and see if you can get him to ask him some PS5 questions. We can include him. That'd be sick if he's happy with that.
Well, it's a League of Legends stream, so I probably won't go too off topic talking about PlayStation.
No, just speak to him privately, innit?
We might not instantly hit it off, Davey. We might not be friends after me asking him 3 questions and playing a 40-minute League of Legends game where I absolutely tank his match and drop his elo. Because he's going to need to carry hard with me on his team.
Just tell him about how shit PS Plus is, mate. I'm sure he'll listen to you.
He'll be on board, mate.
Just chuck him a tenner for a crate of Budweiser, and he'll do whatever you say. He'll do whatever you say. Isn't that right, Spence?
I can't agree nor disagree.
No comment.
Good.
So with all this competition, then, have you actually been playing the game at all or not? Just no.
Yeah, I've been
playing Raid.
Been trying to get in sort of 2 or 3 matches a night, just to kind of up my skills a little bit. But I'm bronze, trying to crawl out of bronze into silver at the moment. And then, of course, Patrick is top of the stack, really. one of the best players in the world.
That's crazy to me that you're bronze with how much you love and watch this game.
I love it. I just don't get to play enough. If you look at my OPGG, I win more than I lose, so I shouldn't really be in bronze. But it's quite funny for the podcast. If you ever want to play me, Spence, or if any of our listeners want to, play me, sure, shoot me a DM and we'll jump into the queue.
I think I'll pass on that.
Davey, earlier on in the week, I actually challenged you to play some League of Legends on stream. Did you miss this tweet?
I must have missed this tweet. Because I definitely would have responded to this. What was the tweet?
I think you were going off on your normal blah, blah, blah about God of War. And I said that I'll put an hour of God of War in and give you my honest reaction to it on podcast on the next episode if you do a League stream and we see you in the jungle.
All right, deal. I'll do that. Hands down. So episode 3, the next episode that we're going to record in 2 weeks' time, by that you'll have my impression of an hour's worth of League of Legends, Phil's hour of God of War, and we'll see who's positive and who's not. Can you imagine if I got into League? I'd be so angry at myself if I got into League. I would actually hate myself. You're
going to give us your impressions of your first hour, so it'll probably be just a single match, in solo queue, playing jungle, because a match is around 40 minutes. So it'll probably just be the single match.
40 minutes. I'm used to an 8-minute match in Smash.
Mate, as you're the jungle, and currently it's a jungle-focused meta, you should be able to carry. So you might be able to cut that down to a 25-minute. G2 are doing it currently against Gen G in Worlds.
I reckon I could probably get it down to a 15-minute game, I reckon. If we just play smart.
Okay. Play smart in the jungle.
You can't even surrender 15 minutes in, can you?
They will.
They will.
I'll change the meta. I'll just go in. I'll change the meta. I mean, how hard is it? The difference is, right? All these guys, they're PC scrubs, right? They've been playing PC. They don't know anything else. I'll go in there with my console mind, the mind of an advanced species, walk in there, and especially of a Smash player. So I got the mind of a child. So I got the reflexes of a cat almost, and I'll walk straight in, body them all at their own game. Whatever legend, chuck me whatever legend. I don't mind. I'll go for whatever Phil picks me.
What, you mean champion?
Oh, why isn't it just League of Champions then? Why is it League of Legends if you don't even play a legend?
Hello, Riot. You've made a mistake here.
Yeah. What the hell?
I've got a friend called Davey, and he's seen a fundamental problem with your game. It's not called League of Champions.
Yeah, why isn't it LOC? Oh, let's play some LOC.
Well, when you get in game, you can chat. So maybe ask some of the players.
I will. I'll get my coaching hour with whoever's coaching you. And he'd be like, oh my God, you're a prodigy. And if I come back in next week and I say I love it, I'm going to be so disgusted in myself. I actually will. But I'll be honest, because I haven't been bought. My opinion doesn't get bought unless Sony drops me off a PS5 early, in which case I'll say whatever you want me to say.
So we want to see this.
Sony are listening.
We want to see these Twitch links posted on our PSwetrust Twitter. And we want all our viewers watching you.
All right, deal.
And I'll also stream God of War. But unfortunately, I don't have a camera and mic when I stream PS4.
That's fine. That's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. I'm doing this for the audience. No one else.
I think this is something we need to introduce every podcast now, a new challenge for each other. So my first challenge to you is to play an hour of League, and I'll play an hour of God of War.
And I'll go fuck myself, yeah?
Yeah.
What, for an hour?
That'd be a hell of a challenge.
Jesus Christ, Spence.
I'm young, mate.
An hour? Yeah, I think I'd probably just rather play God of War.
Yeah, to go in an hour would be painful. You come out, there'd be nothing left, mate. Jesus. But is that it then? Spence, you play anything else?
I have one other game. I only started playing it like 3 days ago, but I've kind of played it non-stop since, and that's Destiny 2.
Destiny 2 is in like vanilla Destiny 2.
Vanilla Destiny 2. Because Destiny 2 is free to play now.
Yeah, I've got it on PlayStation from when it went free to play, and I put it into the first opening mission, got to like the hub world or whatever, and didn't do any more. No reason why not, but just didn't do it. I must have had something else on the mind. But how are you finding it?
I think it's bloody brilliant. It's such a simple game to just hop on and start playing. All you're doing is just basic missions, trying to get better weapons, better loot, and progress yourself. And it's just fun and easy to play. And I knew I'd like Destiny 2, but I never cared much to buy it. So now that it's free to play, it's so much more like accessible.
What are the menus like, Spence?
The menus are, they're kind of fine. It's hard to say. The customization's weird. Changing your character's gear and stuff, that's well easy.
It might be a strange question, but I had Destiny 1 on Xbox. Yes, right. I've got an Xbox on a PlayStation podcast. And yeah, the menus are beautiful in the original Destiny. They just work so well. I just thought they spent so much time developing how the menu structure and the itemization works within Destiny 1 that they may have not spent enough time on the actual end game or the story progression within the game itself.
Okay.
Didn't you find that with Destiny 1 that it was designed like as if it was a mouse cursor, but for a controller?
Maybe that's why I really liked it. I just thought everything works so in sync with Destiny 1.
See, that's the one thing I didn't enjoy about the game, really,
Wow.
was that part of it. For me, like, the shooting was so good. Like, Bungie is so good at shooting. The original Halo trilogy is so good.
Mate, we look for different things in games. I'm complimenting the menu structure. You're complimenting the shooting.
That's the difference between a League of Legends player and a console elitist like myself. We're always hearing about PC elitists. I'm trying to change the metric. But carry on, Spence.
Right, so to kind of go against Davey about PC Elias, I'm playing Destiny 2 on PC. So the
Right,
menus...
fuck you. Put you in the bin right now.
So I kind of agree that the menus feel as though they should be on PC because they're kind of spread out. But I'm playing on PC.
They're very Diablo-esque, aren't they? I feel.
Yeah, they are quite Diablo-esque, and I love Diablo, so it works for me. I don't know, the game's just brilliant. It's just easy to play. It seems like it's tuned for 3-player parties, and I'm trying to play it with 4 people, including myself. So it's a bit. I wish it was more 4-player activities in the game, but so far it's fun. I'm probably going to keep playing it, and I suggest everyone else should too.
Well, we can't because you've already got too many friends, Spencer.
Well, not with me. Play the game.
Well, if you've got 4 and me and Davey join, then that's 6, isn't it? So we could party up.
I'm not interested, to be honest.
Really?
Like, I just no, not at all. I
thought you were a console elitist.
I am, but that's why I'd rather play games like God of War. Like
Again.
critically acclaimed, absolutely amazing games.
What, and not the world's most popular game?
What's that? Smash?
League of Legends.
League of Legends.
I think they've pulled the wrong world there. They probably pulled the third world.
I didn't see Tim Cook introducing the Smash Brothers mobile game on the Apple conference, did you?
Well, Apple's as irrelevant as LOL, so I'm not surprised that he did, to be honest.
Wow. So in the last episode, I was the controversial one. I feel like you've taken the role this time, Davey.
I'm just talking nonsense, mate. I'm just talking nonsense.
Good. That's what our listeners tune in for. You talking nonsense.
Well, what I thought was going to be a 15-minute segment has turned into an hour.
It's been a mad. It's been a lot of fun, but it's been a madness.
So now we're going to move on to the news. And we've picked the stories that have the biggest impact to us. So we're going to discuss these and go through these in a lot of detail. The first thing on the docket, guys, is we're talking about the changes with 8.0 and the kind of backlash that the community has brought in. First off, before I open this up and give my thoughts, have any of you guys upgraded to 8.0 and have you seen what it actually does?
Well, I upgraded to it, obviously, when it went live. I don't know much of what it does. I've noticed I'm joining parties faster. I don't know if that's a changed thing or if it's, just something I'm thinking. One thing I love about it is that when you're in a party now, or you look at your friends list, you can see a little PlayStation 4 console on the account, and it shows what people are playing.
Phil, do you know anything about this, or are you a bit... Because obviously you don't have PS Plus, so you don't use any of the multiplayer features. Do you know anything about what's changed with 8.0?
So I have upgraded. I like to keep all my hardware generally on the newest service packs. So yeah, I would have updated, but I wouldn't have seen a difference just playing Resident Evil 3. Because as you said, I'm not online or playing on the PS Plus setup.
Gimmick. Yeah, service.
So basically, guys, what 8.0 is, it's major updates to the messages and the party system. It kind of rolls them into one. And then also, apart from that, it also adds in some other free avatars. So, on your PlayStation profile, you'll have like a picture of a Helgas, or you have a picture of, I don't know, like a Resistance guy, like Nathan Hale, or something like that as your profile picture.
Sure.
On PlayStation. Adds in some extra ones for you to use. But the biggest change is to the party system. Now, we actually had a listener write in about this. So this is a message from Joseph Thomas. So he's wrote in, and I'll read verbatim. Phil needs to play God of War. Or lend me his PS4 and God of War so I can play it. The first 3 slapped. Thanks, Joe. You obviously talking a bit of sense there.
Davey, did you send him a crate of Budweiser?
No, I didn't have to pay anyone for this take, because
Okay.
This is a genuinely good take. Now, what he says is, I'd like to hear your thoughts on the PS4 update recording party chat audio to streamline the use of it to report on PS5 seems Orwellian. Now, just to get you guys in the picture, what happens is when you pull up a chat on PlayStation, it's going to come up with a little warning in the corner saying that your audio may be recorded. Now, there's been so much backlash of this on Twitter. It is absolutely insane. Do any of you guys have any idea about any of this stuff?
Well, this is the first time hearing, and my initial reaction is, maybe that's a good thing. Like the amount of shit that you hear playing these online multiplayer. We're trying to get like kids playing games more and more. You don't want to hear some of the trash that people spout out, and hopefully they get their bans and they get some repercussions, because a lot of the time on the internet you can say things, there's no feedback for that.
I disagree entirely, mostly because as well, these changes aren't, I don't think they're to voice chat on a whole. Like, say you're in voice chat on Call of Duty or something, and you're spouting off to people, yeah, that's bad, and they can report you themselves, and that's what should happen. But if you're in a party with your own friends, that's a private conversation. That shouldn't be recorded, and you shouldn't get banned from PlayStation because of that.
But if you're not saying anything that's offensive or rude, then why would you be bothered?
People do in private conversations. It's what your friends' humor is, I suppose.
Now, this is why I wanted to ask what your guys' opinion was on just hearing what I told you. Because this is where the majority of the internet is going wrong. It's because they actually haven't looked at it. So the majority of Twitter seems to believe that your audio is constantly being recorded and then probably randomly sampled by PlayStation on the PS5 when the feature goes live. That is not the case. What the warning is for is that instead of it being on a game-by-game basis, of you being able to clip somebody spouting a load of shit and uploading it, which you can do now, by the way. There is no difference to that now. You could just share it, and you'll pick up anyone else's voice that's tick the box, say that their audio can be shared. You'll pick up that audio, and you could then report that if you wanted to, but it's done on a game-by-game basis. What's happened is that the PlayStation system itself has made it easy to report people. So, if you're in a party chat with somebody, you can record the gameplay, record the audio, and you can export that directly to PlayStation. But the console is not recording that audio all the time. It is up to the user to record that audio and report. And the way that sharing on PlayStation 4 and 5 works is that it's always captured the last 30 minutes worth of video. So it means that if something happened and you invited a random into your room or into your party and they started spouting a load of hateful shit and you wanted to report that, you can report that and you don't have to worry about missing it because you'll have the last 30 or 15 minutes saved. So it's never an issue and you can report it. To me, I think that's totally fine. I don't see what the problem is with that. I don't know why the internet's kicking off about it, because it's not, like Joe said, he says it's Orwellian, and it would be Orwellian if it was randomly sampled. What I'm saying is that if you've got a case that you're in a lobby with somebody, or this person that you met on the internet comes into your party, or you just literally, there's 8 of you in a lobby and you go into a party together, and then one of them starts stating off about blah, 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 and starts going into all racist territory or something really, really extreme, or they're picking on somebody, and you've got a load of them picking on one person, and you feel the need to report that, and the game doesn't have a report function, PlayStation gives you the ability to report that now. I think that's a good thing. Of course, when I was 14 playing Call of Duty or whatever, you'd be out in there kicking off at people, calling them all things under the sun. But there's a limit between that and then there's going to the extremes. And I suppose the extremes is where I'm hoping, and maybe this is a hopeful outlook, so maybe I'm being a bit too ignorant with this. Part of the reason there's a bit of a problem is because the messaging system and the party system have been combined. For PS5, that's apparently going to be a lot easier to use, but in PS4, it's actually made it a little bit clunky. Now, for people that have the same friend group that always play together, it's not an issue at all. For example, me and Spence will often play online with our friend Ray, and so the 3 of us are in a message group together. And so when we go to start a party, we just go into that message group, start a party, done. So absolutely fine. There's no difference for us. In fact, if anything, it saves us a couple of steps. But if you're somebody who's playing with a lot of different people, and you've got a lot of different groups or a lot of different variations of that group, it causes problems then. What I know is that you can't make these parties private. So what that means is that anybody can join your party.
Davey, are you sort of pro this kind of policing of chat because you receive a lot of negative feedback on your games. When you're going 0-10 in a COD match and you're dragging the team down, people are going to get annoyed at you, sure, and they're going to say things that maybe they don't mean. But of course, with this policing, you're a little bit safer, aren't you, to play the game the way you want to play the game?
No, it doesn't affect me because there's always a mute button. Like, it's the same way that people, and this is a controversial opinion. I think our roles have switched here, Phil, because I'm going to say something really controversial. Right, cyberbullying, just fucking block people. What is the problem? Right, I don't understand it. People are like, oh, he's getting cyberbullied. Oh, just fucking delete. Just fucking block him. Like, what's the problem? Like, when me and... Now, granted, I'm a 31-year-old man. Phil's 47. So, the problem is, when we were growing up and we were in school, there wasn't cyberbullying. It was just IRL bullying. And IRL bullying sucks, because you can't just walk away from IRL bullying, right? You can't just say, like, oh, I'm just going to ignore you. Because it doesn't work. You just get beaten up. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like for Davey, all he had to do was delete his account on dogging.com and he got less abuse.
It's true, mate. It's true, yeah. I used to get hounded. See that dogging pun there? Oh. I'm lucky. I've never been bullied, right? I've never been bullied. But I've known people that have been bullied, and my wife was one of them. She was bullied for a long time in school. And in real life bullying is horrendous. It's awful. And there's no excuse for it. It's unquestionably immoral behaviour.
You've said you've never experienced bullying in school.
Not on myself, no, never.
Were you a jock then, Davey?
I wasn't a jock. But
were you the bullier?
No, I wasn't the bullier ever. I was one of those kind of like fringe kids. So I'd kind of be really close friends with a couple of the elite in school. The people that were like your most popular or whatever. I was really close friends with them, so I went to all the same parties with them and everything else. But then I was also friends with all the geeks and nerds. So then I'd also go to parties and hang out with all them as well. So I kind of crossed between the two. So I was always kind of just in the middle, really. Kind of like an in-betweener. Like the classic show. No, I was just kind of in between everyone. So I never had any problems with anyone in school. I had a really good school experience. But I know people also do get bullied, and it sucks and it's horrendous. But cyberbullying is just something that I don't properly understand, because you can distance yourself from it. And granted, it means that you have to kind of close some gates. But a lot of internet sites now, like with Twitter or Facebook, you can just block people, so you don't see it. And I know that's a problem, probably in a school ground basis. No, I don't have any issues with policing it, which was your original question. I've kind of gone off on a bit of a rampage here, but no, I don't have any issues with it at all. Because at the end of the day, you got a fucking mute button on your PlayStation, so I just fucking mute everyone anyway. And it's funny hearing someone. I find it hilarious when someone's kicking off. I find it so funny. It just makes me laugh so much when someone's obviously 14 in their in their room or whatever, and they're kicking off saying how shit you are or whatever, and just laughing at them. It's just so funny. It's just so funny.
Yeah, but there are lots of sort of more sensitive people in this world, and of course, they can touch on subjects which hit a lot harder to certain people.
But then wouldn't you want there to be a report button so that you can then stop those people from saying this crazy shit that upsets people?
Or
do you want it just to run free? Because at the moment you're going down a kind of laissez-faire approach, which is just let everyone, you do you, self-police. But I think the best way to stomp out people being absolutely outrageous is a report function. I don't see the problem with it.
I think ultimately I'm very much pro this. I would much rather have the option to be able to, protect yourself with these type of setups. It's an interesting topic, and I'm sure it's something that'll come up in future podcasts, because we'll see how this ecosystem evolves. For me, when I'm playing online, you do see these situations where people are getting bullied, but generally, if the game, for me, only lasts 40 minutes in League, then you're on to the next game. You go, okay, GG, and you move on to the next game, and then you don't have to deal with that person. There's always going to be these people in the world, and if there are some repercussions, like there's going to be with PlayStation, maybe that's a good thing. Ultimately, I don't think that's going to stomp it out 100%, but I think that will cut it down slightly.
Spence, you say you disagree with this, so fill me in.
Spencer's the griefer.
What's your take?
Spencer's the griefer.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's the problem.
He's just worried he's going to get kicked off the PlayStation Network, paying a tenner.
Well, he can't call their mums fat anymore. He's totally out of the league.
I feel like it's recording your audio, but that's not even for reporting purposes. It's just for the clips for recording in your last half an hour. So that when you if you get 7 kills in a row, or whatever on Call of Duty, whatever people consider good, and they're like, "Let's fucking go!" They can just record their voice with the clip. Doesn't matter.
You consider that good?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Well, with PS4, the way it works is, if you're in the party menu, to be able to record somebody else's voice, you have to have ticked the button on parties. Yeah. So that's why I make sure whenever we play parties that button's ticked for everyone that we get into it, because it's always hyped to be able to hear each other on a clip, right? I don't quite understand here. So you said at the off that you were saying that you think it's really bad that there's this report feature, right? So where do you stand on it? Do you think it's bad or good? Because you can, if you think it's bad, I'd honestly like to know why.
I'm not entirely sure I said it's bad that you can report, did I?
I thought you did.
I
thought you said you disagreed with Phil.
No, I'm just saying I think Phil was wrong in thinking that it's your generic, you should be banned for what you say in a private party with your friends. Then, obviously, what you say in a full voice chat.
Oh, I see. But say we're in a party, I could report you.
Yeah, that's fine. And you should be able to.
Okay.
Because that's a private conversation, and I'm saying
so we're more
my opinion to you.
We're more arguing on specifics of the technology. Maybe I'm slightly misinformed on how it all works, because you didn't tell us before you asked our opinions, which was interesting.
I more or less agree with Davey. I think it's hard to even put into words. It's just recording your last half an hour, isn't it? That's the same as it's always been. So I don't see why there's a fuss. And just if people are going to go into voice chat and lobbies and say abhorrent shit, then yeah, they should get reported, same as in a private party. But the people that are saying stuff and will likely be recorded will be in a private party, and they will know their audience because they'll be playing with their friends.
Exactly. That's my theory about it. Now, obviously, the internet takes everything to 100 times magnitude or whatever it is. So people are saying, "Oh, this is open to abuse," right? So people are saying that you'd have somebody random just join a party, record the audio, and report it. My answer to that is that it pings every single person with a big fuck off message when somebody joins the party.
Yeah.
So what's the danger? I don't see what the danger is. You can just kick. I honestly don't see it. I mean, granted, I do think, just to close off my thought on this, I do think that the ability to make a party private is a must. And I think they need to add that feature back in. Because I don't like the ability for just randoms to join without being invited. Yeah. I don't like that. But the actual reporting system, my thoughts on it, clear as daylight, I think it's absolutely fine. I think it's absolutely fine to make it easier to report people who are being, as you said, Spence, abhorrent on the system.
Davey, have they gone into the repercussions of what would happen if I was to report someone? So, say the three of us are playing games and you started tanking our Call of Duty match and you start spouting off and we report you, what would happen? Is there levels to that reporting? Is it repeat kind of offenders that kind of get the worst, or is it kind of like one strike and you're out?
They haven't properly said yet. So the way I imagine it's going to be is the way that it's done at the moment, which is a case of, depending on the severity of it, would depend on the decision. And it's done by a full-on decision. You get an email from PlayStation then, informing you that your account's been suspended or it's been fully terminated. And I think that's totally fair. I mean, as long as you've got a chance to be able to retort and to come back with evidence proving the contrary, I don't see the problem. Because if, for example, somebody's taken that 30-minute recording, like say, for example, you're saying your mate's mum is, you see her down outside Co-op on a Friday night for £5 or whatever, and your mate's like, ha ha ha, and then someone just puts that on and reports it, there's got to be a way for you to be able to fight against that. As long as there's a way for you to do that, then I don't see what the problem is. Granted, if it's a case that all of a sudden they start getting into this camp where people are griefing and they're just reporting people for the sake of it, then that's a bit dangerous. But I think the way to ameliorate that and to get around that situation is literally as simple as creating the ability to have your parties as private.
So all this extra policing will obviously come at some cost to PlayStation. is this going to increase the price of PlayStation Plus? Have this extra kind of policing of the voice chat?
I doubt it. I doubt it very much because...
So where does that money come from?
Well, they're probably making enough from PlayStation Plus and PS Now, to be honest, to be able to...
So you're saying PS Plus is a rip-off?
No, I'm not. I don't know where you're pulling this from. You're
Is there-
trying to just get back onto that conversation, mate, at any cost. I know your game. We're not going there. We've got a tight ship to run today.
You've just said they're making enough money.
No, they won't, because I'm going to answer this quickly and I'll edit that out. So, no, they won't have to, because it's already something that happens on PlayStation Network now. You can already report people, and granted, it is game-by-game basis, but you can report people now.
Beware,
So
listeners. Beware, listeners. He's already said he's going to edit my views.
Nobody will hear that, Phil. Oh, well, do you know what? I tell you what, guys. I know I played a bit of a trick on you at the start by giving you kind of what the internet take is, but it's interesting for me because people obviously don't have time to read full articles and stuff across the internet. They don't. And so people obviously go off the first kind of headline thing, which is PlayStation 5 recording audio. And it comes up on PlayStation 4 now, if you notice, when you go into a party, it says some party audio may be recorded. But it's just the same as it is. It's just that they're going to make it easier to streamline it. As I said before, I'd encourage, honestly, any views. I value all views. And if somebody can change my mind on this, I would value it. So please write into the email, PSwetrust@gmail.com. Write in, let me know your thoughts on this. And because me and Spencer are in a kind of different dynamic where we play with such a close friend group, the party system and message system hasn't affected us, but I can imagine it has affected some people. So if it has, please write in, let us know, because we could be talking from a place of ignorance on this, and I'm open to changing my mind if there's evidence confronted. But so far, I haven't seen any to the contrary.
So I was scrolling through Twitter yesterday, guys. Guess what pops up on my timeline? I get to see Tom Holland as Nathan Drake in the new Uncharted movie. I don't know if you've seen this new image that's circulating social media at the moment. How do you feel about Uncharted going into the big screen?
Right, so for me, obviously we first heard Tom Holland was going to be Nathan Drake a while ago. And a lot of people were a bit like, he's too young, he doesn't fit the role, and all of this. And then I saw that picture on Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. I've liked that picture on so many different social media platforms. After seeing him stood in Nathan Drake's outfit, I think he looks fucking amazing as Nathan Drake. And I know he's a good actor anyway, because, well, I'm biased, because I love Spider-Man, and he is Spider-Man.
You've got the tattoo?
I do have the tattoo, yeah.
There we go.
Did you get a boner looking at him, Spence?
Mate, I fully jacked off. What do you mean? Mate, he's a beautiful man. He's a specimen of a man. And I think he's an amazing Nathan Drake. I mean, obviously, we don't know how he's going to be acting in the movie yet. We just know how he looks. But he looks the part.
I'm still waiting for my call-up for Sully.
Oh, yeah. Are you actually
You know,
thinking about
like
it, mate?
I'm sure they're going to be on the line or in my Twitter DMs coming up, right? I haven't checked them recently.
Give him your impression.
Victor goddamn Sullivan.
Hire this man, Sony. Hire this man. Hire this man.
I'm assuming that's a
Yeah,
thing you two have seen done before.
I've just got to take up smoking a cigar and get a Hawaiian shirt and I'm done.
And a moustache. You got to grow a
you do
moustache as well.
moustache.
I could grow a moustache. Easy, mate. Easy. Give me a day.
Well, mate, Halloween soon. You know who you could be.
I'll force a moustache right out.
Well, Spence, you kind of look the same age as Tom Holland, so you could be young Nate.
And you could be older, Nate.
Yeah, I could be Nate from Uncharted 4, and then we got Victor goddamn Sullivan in the background.
I'll just be
Phil.
Victor goddamn Sullivan all the way through. Hawaiian shirt, cigar, telling you that all the things you're doing is wrong.
Tell you what I loved about the pictures is seeing Nolan North on the set and seeing Nolan North's pictures with Tom Holland. Did you guys see that? So class. Did you guys watch the Uncharted fan movie about a year ago, which was with Nathan
I saw it a
Fillion?
long time ago,
didn't.
yeah. I haven't seen it recently, so I can't remember it very well.
It's so good. It's with, like, obviously the fans for forever have always cast Nathan Fillion as Nate. So good to see that, and for him to be wearing the same costume as he does in Uncharted 4 and everything else was so hype. But the dream kind of died seeing that because you knew he was too old. Like, he looked too
Yeah.
old. I mean, the age of Tom Holland, that's the only thing that I'm a little bit weird about. I mean, seeing him in costume, he looks just like he's... Like, I've seen that people have already photoshopped him onto the front of Uncharted 3, and it looks uncanny. Yeah. The only thing they got to get right, they got to get the half tuck right, because he doesn't have the half tuck at all.
People said that on Twitter.
The only thing about it, you know, on Uncharted 3,
right.
Obviously you both have played Uncharted 3. You know, you play as young Drake in that, like, but you play as like segments. Teen Drake, don't you?
Yeah, I love those.
Where do you reckon this film will be placed in the timeline? Do you reckon it's going to be canon for Uncharted? First proper game in the series is the Vita one, right? Golden Abyss, and that's set a few years before Uncharted 1. Do you reckon it's going to be canonical, or do you think it's going to be just its own thing?
I think it should be its own thing.
What happened in Golden Abyss? What was the main story?
Man, I don't know. I played it. All I can remember is rubbing the artifacts with the Vita backpack.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I played it like it's like the first game I played on Vita. I think if it's set pre-Uncharted 1 and it's like him, who's the woman from? It's not Uncharted 2, is it? The woman other than Elena.
Chloe.
If it's set, because he knew Chloe before Elena. But we never knew that. We only met Chloe in, like, what, Uncharted 3, I think? Or Uncharted 2. So if it's, like, him first meeting Chloe, that could be really cool. And it'd explain why he's so young. But he does look young. But that's obviously because we see him as Spider-Man as well. Because he is Peter Parker, who's, like, 16. Whereas he is, like, in his, 23, 24? He does fit the age, I think.
I always see Nathan Drake as like in his early 30s.
Yeah, but he's been in his early 30s for 20 years.
Well, I mean, yeah, like in Uncharted 4 he looks older, doesn't he, obviously?
Yeah.
And that's like when he's retiring and stuff. No spoilers, obviously, for Uncharted 4.
He's got to be around 35, hasn't he? Just getting into his prime.
You're pushing this rhetoric hard, Phil. I do appreciate that. But no, yeah, I'd say it does kind of skew a bit younger. I mean, there's 3 pictures that I've seen so far. I've seen the one of there's like an artifact that looks like a cross in the middle of the ground, which looks hype. It looks like it's taken just from a game. It looks so good. And then I've seen the one with Nolan North chatting with Tom Holland, and I've seen the one of just Tom Holland in costume. Now, I'm going to say something that probably is the common belief here, unless actually Phil's going to disagree with this. I know he will.
I just disagree with you just for the sake of it, mate. But carry on.
But I know you'll disagree with me on
this.
Hit
me.
Movie adaptations of video games fucking suck. All right? They're
Whoa!
terrible.
What are you talking about? Resident Evil.
Well,
I knew it. I fucking knew it.
I love that.
I loved Resident Evil films. Mila Jovovich, mate. Mila Jovovich. I loved Resident Evil films.
If you are listening, well done. I love those films.
Well done.
We ascertained that the Naughty Dog was listening to the podcast because they're expecting a certificate in the post for the best game.
Have you posted that out?
I haven't yet.
Put 2 first-class stamps on it. It'll get there quicker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all right.
Might put a large letter stamp on it as well,
okay.
just for extra speed.
Yeah.
The Resident Evil films, right? The first one's great.
First one is really good because it follows the storyline 80%, I'd say.
It doesn't, not even remotely 80%.
It does.
Probably about 20%. It's in a mansion. That's about it.
It basically... What?
It's in a mansion. That is literally it.
Nemesis is in it?
Not in number 1, he's not.
He is at the end?
Well, no, he is.
He is at the end?
He's throughout the whole film, and then they take him away at the end and turn him into Nemesis.
Exactly.
In the game,
he's the guy
that doesn't happen.
He's the guy from Ugly Betty.
He's
the love interest.
He is.
There we go.
That doesn't happen in the game. The only tie to actual Resident Evil 1 is that there's a mansion. Umbrella's the bad guy. There's zombies in it. T-virus. That's it.
Dogs.
Everything else is totally random.
There's dogs in it.
Dogs. Yeah, okay, dogs. And that's it.
And a train. There's always a train in them.
There's no train in Resident Evil 1.
But there is Resident Evil 2. I'm not saying which game.
There's liquors in Resident Evil in the film as well, and that's not until Resident Evil 2. Come on, it's not 80% likely. It's more like 10% at a push because it's got the original setting for the first 5 minutes of the film, and then you get SWAT guys randomly rappel through a window, which makes no sense. They could literally just burst through the door, but they're like, Joel, we're going to rappel from the roof for no reason through a window and then tear gas it for no reason. Okay. And they do that, and then like, "Are you Alice? Yeah, we're going down to the hive."
The Red Queen, though.
Red Queen was hype. Yeah,
Red Queen was so.
And
cool.
the lasers were good. And so in Resident Evil 4 when they had that laser dodging section.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they've ripped this straight from the movie. And that was a weird meta moment.
That was weird.
I was like, oh my God.
Because the movie and the game, like, full circled, really,
Yeah,
where
it
you
did.
walk through and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get chopped up by the lasers here, aren't I? Because this is what's
Yeah.
happened in the movie. You know, it was really cool. I really like the way they did that. You know, I'm a massive fan of Resident Evil. I don't feel like they could do too much bad, even though they've done pretty much bad all the way through.
The last film was horrendous. The last film we watched it together, I remember I was just laughing the whole way through. And you were just like, what? And I was just cracking up.
I had goosebumps all the way through. Loved it.
I remember there was one moment where Alice goes, like, right at the end of the last Resident Evil film. She's like, in this camp, she's like, you got to help me against the armies of Umbrella. And they're like, no. And the next thing, Umbrella attack their base, right? Because they're looking for Alice. So Alice is the reason why their whole base gets fucked up. Like, all their families get killed, all this stuff. And then instead of being the logical thing, which is fucking boot this bitch out the window, right? No, we're not having anything to do with it. They're like, we'll all join you to fight Umbrella. And I was just like, oh my God, this film. And I was just hysterical. And I remember you were dead serious throughout the entire thing. You were
Loved
just like,
it.
Yeah,
Absolutely
I'm
loved it.
this.
What we'll have to do is branch out on this podcast in Lark, and we'll have to do a movie podcast, and we'll talk about the Resident Evil video game movies.
We won't.
Every single one of
really
them.
won't.
Every single one of them.
Mate,
We won't.
unsurprisingly, this podcast, I agree with Phil entirely. I fucking love the Resident Evil movies.
Oh my
Honestly, the
God.
last two films though are so unmemorable. I honestly can't tell you what happened, but the first three or so, fucking loved them.
The one before last was actually decent. That's the one in...
That's the one where it's like a video game, isn't it? You know, they have all these sections, and they show you the map where they are.
Oh, is that where they're in the simulation? That's not when they're in a simulation.
Yeah, it is. The one before last is when they're in the simulation. And that one's sick. I really
Yeah.
like that one. That's
Yeah.
where Rain comes back.
Yeah. Anyway, Uncharted movie.
Oh, right. By the way, I looked up to do with the Uncharted movie, by the way. Sorry to cut you off there, Phil. But in Uncharted 1, Nathan Drake was 30 or 31. In Uncharted 2, he was 33 or 34. 35 in Drake's Deception and 38 in Uncharted 4.
Oh, 38, probably his prime. He's probably made it. He's probably made it. Video game movies, adaptations, how do you guys feel? Are you just going to love it because it's Uncharted? I know we're all fans of it. Or all fans of the franchise.
I mean, the thing about it is, right, that you, in theory, you can't go wrong with an Uncharted movie because it's just an Indiana Jones movie. So you cannot go wrong with it, really.
I always thought, right, video game movies would be the easiest sell ever, right? Because you've already got a dedicated fan base. And generally, video game fans are fanatical about a video game if they love it.
Yeah.
They'll love it. So, like, I am for Resident Evil, right? I love Resident Evil. I'll buy anything Resident Evil. I'm going to play the Resident Evil board game. That's coming soon, right? And those views will be out on the podcast. But
Be honest, Twitch. Be honest, Twitch.
oh, we could Twitch stream it, couldn't we?
We could.
You could.
And the story's already there because the game's there. So how do movie directors get it so wrong?
It's because they like to put their own twist on it. They want to make it their own thing rather than what it already is. All they should do is just transfer it from a video game format to a movie format. Same story, same characters, same stuff. Make it look a bit more cool, you know, make it flow like it's a film. Just fucking... Have you seen the Resident Evil animated movies?
Spencer, what you want to do is give Michael Bay a ring for me and just tell him that.
For the Transformers film.
Please. Well, there's only ever been one. I hear Michael Bay is going to make a second Transformer movie. And maybe he needs to know what you've just said.
The only movie that you recognise is the 1980s one, isn't it? You got the touch.
You got the power.
I knew it.
Dun-dun, dun-dun.
Use it old.
The thing about it is that the book market has sealed the market in good movie adaptations, right? So you got like Lord of the Rings trilogy, absolutely fucking incredible coming from books. You got all these different book series that are like Harry Potter, for example, put into movies and they work really, really well. You could put a video game, and the problem with video game, can you imagine a Resident Evil video game, perfect one-to-one adaptation, where literally you go into a room, and it's like, this room's locked, you need the spade key. And the next thing you need to do is go and run around half the map, go and find a note that you learned from someone, put in a code into a puzzle to be able to get a piece, which then you need to 3 other pieces to go and get the spade key to then unlock that door. It'd be the most boring fucking movie you've ever seen in your entire life.
It'd
It'd be horrendous.
I think with the right director, you could do that, mate.
What, just quick cuts of them just doing the puzzles? Oh, I nailed that one. And then just the next puzzle. It'd be horrendous.
Get Tarantino in. I'm sure we would find a way.
Some cheeky dialogue where every 5 seconds he's like, you could have been a Jill sandwich. then maybe. The problem with video games is that they're repetitive by nature in a video game because you're doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And if you're translating that to a film, it doesn't really quite work. So unless you've got something that's crazy scripted. So I think Uncharted will work really well as a film because it's essentially the game version of Indiana Jones. So I think just putting it back to being Indiana Jones, it will work really, really well. As long as they get the characters right, and as long as they get Nathan Drake's charm, which I think Tom Holland has, I don't see what... I think it's going to be fine. As long as he starts womanizing and starts sleazing his way a little bit, it'll be fine. Basically, I just want Indiana Jones, but with Tom Holland and a ring around his neck. And that's it. That's all I want. Just give me Indiana Jones again. But I tell you what would work really well for a film adaptation. Last of Us.
Yeah. They're making it a TV show.
Ooh, I've missed this. Have they?
Yeah, they announced it like less than half a year, like 4 months ago maybe. And it's becoming a TV show on maybe HBO. I'm not sure.
It's not following Joel and Ellie, though, is it? It's going to be their own different characters. That's the way I'd do it if I was sure.
I would make it different as well. Either that, or I'd make it the time in between Last of Us 1 and 2. Or I'd make it pre-Last of Us 1, where it's Joel.
What I would do is make it about the multiplayer.
We'll make it about the factions multiplayer.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
factions multiplayer. That's what I would hone in because that's one of the most popular areas of The Last of Us. I've heard. So yeah, I just focus in on that really in the series.
I think this is the reason why I wouldn't hire you as a TV mogul.
Mate, I'd be too busy writing the next Transformer movie. Michael Bay's listening to this live and he's just DM'd me, so I've got to sort that out for him. I'm a silent partner. What do you call him? An underwriter? No, ghostwriter. Ghostwriter, yeah, I'm a ghostwriter for the new Transformer.
Underwriter would be you doing his mortgage for him.
I'll sort that out for him.
It's an all-in-one deal with you, Phil, isn't it? It's all in one deal. You get your mortgage, you get the movie script, and you get the cast recommendation.
It's a bog-off deal, mate. And Schwarzenegger's in it as well.
Of course he is.
To loop back round from original podcast conversations.
Number 1, yeah. Schwarzenegger Spider-Man.
Yeah, Last of Us 1, like you said, Spence, would work really well. Like, if it's the years before, Joel, that'd be amazing. That'd be so good.
See, what I think, I think video game movies should obviously be really easy, but obviously directors always want to make their own twist. What everyone should, it differs per game. I think Uncharted fits really well as a movie, but like long games like Last of Us, and as we've seen with The Witcher as well, have made brilliant TV shows. And I think a lot of video games should be TV show adaptations rather than movies. I think it fits it a lot better because there's a lot more chance of progression. You progress through the show the same as you would a video game rather than having to rush everything in the time of a movie. Like The Witcher was class. The Witcher was a brilliant show.
Do you feel video games lend themselves more to TV? And animes, such as Dragon Ball Z, would lend themselves more to like movies? Because the Dragon Ball Z movie, that took a strange twist, didn't it? Right? That could have been great.
Don't get me started on this, mate. The truest version of a Dragon Ball live action film is Superman Man of Steel.
It is.
That's the closest version we're ever going to get in my lifetime. This is going to proper derail this podcast. I know it is. And I'm sorry, listener, that you're going to have to embark on this journey. But
I'm not going to mention what I think you're going to mention, are you?
My dad is a comic book fan still to this day. My dad's in his 60s. And he had to live, 50 years of his life before he saw a true, probably 45 years of his life before he saw a true comic to film adaptation with X-Men and Spider-Man back in the early 2000s, right? And then he's been living his best life where he's had the MCU. So his favorite hero is Thor, and to see Thor be done as well as it is, he's absolutely loving it, right? Now I'm a massive Dragon Ball Z fan.
Are you?
The only film I've got under my belt, live action, is Dragon Ball Evolution.
Yeah, I knew.
Which, literally, me and my mate went to see that film, both die-hard Dragon Ball fans, and we saw it day one. We went day one. And we came out of the cinema, and it was a 10-minute walk from the cinema to the McDonald's. And we sat in, we ordered our food, and we didn't speak throughout the entire meal. And then literally, as soon as we finished our meal, we turned to each other. I just looked at him and said, that was shit, wasn't it? And he was just like, yeah, it was shit. And I've literally dealt with that my entire life, knowing that that film exists and that instead of a Kamehameha, he throws out a gun. Throws out a fart ball at a candle and he can't even pull it out. It's horrendous. It's horrendous. And it is not an excuse for a film. And so when I saw Man of Steel, granted, I'm not even a big Superman fan. When I saw Man of Steel, I was like, fuck me, this is everything I've wanted in a Dragon Ball film. It's literally, I mean, granted, Goku's a rip-off of Superman. Spoiler alert if you didn't realise that, but he obviously is. You got these people come to Earth. They have a different alien race, which is the same race as our main character. They're invading everything. There's loads of them to fight. And you got these amazing fight scenes, which go on for a long time. And this is going to be controversial opinion, but it is unquestionably the best Superman film ever made.
Okay, so could you see anime being translated into a series, just like Spencer is suggesting that video games make better series adaptations than they do movies?
Yeah, because I think when you've got something that's over a long frame of time, break it down a little bit more. With a book, right, you've got 400 pages with a book, but a lot of that is imagery. So when you translate that to a movie, you're not missing too much context. Whereas with a film, with a film, you've got, like, say, a 2-hour runtime. You got to translate a 10-hour game into that, or for an anime, you got to translate a 20-episode season into a film. So you're cutting about 10, 12 hours off that to translate that into the bare bones. So the problem with a movie is that you've got to skip out so much character development and everything else. So like Spencer was saying, with The Witcher working really, really well, because you're able to have 12 hours with these characters to develop them over the course of the series, or however long the series is. The same thing can be done for an anime, because you've got 20 hours, you're condensing maybe down to 10 in a 10 episode 1 hour series. But it works really well because you can just cut out a lot of the filler and just streamline it. And I think, yeah, it would work. It would work really well.
Right, so moving on, lads, from Nathan Drake. There's been a lot, and I mean a lot, of Miles Morales gameplay circulating on Twitter, on YouTube, and I can't seem to avoid it. I don't know about you boys. Have either of you seen any of the gameplay?
Gameplay, no. Because as soon as it starts and I realise it's gameplay, I turn off it. But suits, yes. I've been spoiled now for 2 of the suits, which I'm kind of gutted about, because they look absolutely incredible. So I've seen one where he's in a hood.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And I'm like, oh, Jesus, that looks so good. And I've seen the white outfit, and I was like, oh my God, that looks so good. I'm going to play with that day one. So I've seen those. But gameplay, no. Because I've literally been really stringent about it. I really just don't want to be spoiled for anything. No. And it's going to be even harder, like a couple of weeks' time when it comes out in the US, we're going to have to be so careful. I'm going to have to silence Spider-Man, Miles Morales, PS5, everything on my Twitter when it comes to that. But at the moment, I've been pretty good with gameplay. But I don't know about Phil over there. I don't know if he's been too invested in LoL to see any.
I work from home. I've constantly got Twitter up. So yeah, I've seen a fair bit of it. To be honest, it looks like the next level, you know? I love the original, and I can't wait to get on this game, right? Laura's pre-ordered it for my birthday. Just can't wait to play that game. But Davey, you're a fan of the original, and you said you were really invested in the costumes, and you didn't want to spoil them too much. What costume did you play the original through with?
John, I played the original the entire way through with one of my favourite suits, which is the Ben Reilly suit, which is the hoodie.
Okay.
Ben Reilly, the Clone Saga from the 90s, people don't like it very much, but I love it. It's just so extreme, which is what the 90s was all about. Just having the web cartridges around the outside of his wrists, so cool. I just love that. And I played the entire game. I unlocked that costume and didn't change it once. Not once. I played it the entire game through with that costume. And then, when I got to the DLC, I put it back to the original costume, with the white spider, the advanced suit. I was like, fuck me, this suit looks so good. And I was kind of gutted that I played it the entire way through in Ben Reilly. My favourite suit's kind of tied between 2. I love the black suit, the original black suit. I love it. I love it so much. The Venom suit symbiote, I love it so much. Apart from that, it's the Superior Spider-Man suit. I love the black and the reds. That suit is just amazing. That entire run is so good as Spider-Man. If I could have an option for either of those in Spider-Man 2, when that inevitably launches on PS5, I will jizz my pants. But until that time, I'm quite happy with Ben Reilly. With Miles, I don't know the character outside of the game. and outside of Spider-Verse movie. So I don't really know him. I haven't read Ultimate Spider-Man, so I don't have any affiliation to Miles. I'll be quite happy to go on whatever looks cool.
I'm sure you'll hate my choice because, I played the original Spider-Man through with Spider-Man 2099 skin.
Oh, that is terrible. That is so bad.
You hate it.
I hate
it. Okay.
That's 90s, but that's the wrong side of 90s. That's the bad side of 90s, where it's too extreme.
I love it.
It's fucking awful. It's so bad. It's so bad. What do you even like about it? That's what I don't understand. What do you even like about it?
I just think it looks brutal, man. I think it's a really good skin. I picked it up and, I just found that kind of affinity with it. And yeah, that's the one I chose.
You're wrong.
He is wrong.
It doesn't look like Spider-Man. It doesn't look like Spider-Man at all. It looks like freaking Daredevil got a bit horny one night and thought, you know what, I'm going to change my suit and wear this.
I'm just gonna jizz some webs under my arms, which are half ripped because it looks cool. And
basically, it's the coolest skin, isn't it,
No.
guys? And I think that's why you're a little bit bitter about it. And you're just like, it's just a bit too cool for me.
I remember when I unlocked that suit and I put it on and I twirled the camera around 360 and I just thought, this is a disgrace. Like this is a disgrace. People love 2099. They do.
Yeah.
I just cannot comprehend it. I think you're an inferior human being if you like 2099.
I think for me, I probably...
Oh, you love Shattered Dimensions, though, didn't you? You play Spider-Man 2099 Shattered Dimensions, don't you?
I came off playing That's where I was going with the conversation. Came off playing a little bit of Shattered Dimensions on PS3. So that's probably why I thought this skin does look cool. Because out of the 4 you get to play, that is definitely the coolest skin.
Black Suit Spider-Man's in that game.
Yeah, but he's not Venom, is he?
That's crazy talk, man. That suit's so iconic. That's your opinion. Nah.
To be honest, I could just say no, and I don't need to give any reasoning to that other than no.
That's fair. You know what? I can't even argue.
I can't argue that. I think that's a pretty open and shut case, to
I'll
be
tell
honest.
you what, Mike.
Open and shut case. Nah.
The one
don't agree
time
with you
I'm
guys.
disagreeing with Davey as well. I don't like 2099. Sure, that's agreeing. I don't like Venom either. I don't like that suit at all. The only suits I liked in Marvel Spider-Man PS4 was the default suit, which I used for 90% of the game, and the Iron Spider suit.
There wasn't a Venom suit in Spider-Man PS4.
No, but if there was, I wouldn't have gone near it.
That's fucking madness, mate.
So you're not going Spider Noir?
Fuck off. Not
That's
at all.
not your bag?
Not a chance. Spider Noir can fucking suck one. That's insane.
He's the best, mate. In Spider-Verse, he's the best character. He's like, sometimes I let matches burn down to my fingers just so I can feel. He's so cool.
The thing is he wouldn't be as good if he had any more lines than he had in that movie. He's only good because he's mysterious and he doesn't speak much. If he spoke more often, you'd be like, oh, he's coming out with some nonsense. Right, but beyond the suits, the gameplay. So Phil, you said you've seen a bit. Without spoiling anything, what kind of gameplay have you seen?
Just some brief combat that I think a lot of people saw within the PS5 kind of shizzle trailer.
Sure. On YouTube specifically, I figured out I had to literally look up how to block words on YouTube because it's quite an ordeal, whereas on Twitter it's quite easy. You have to go into your account, go into creation and find your words. And I put Marvel, Spider-Man, Spider-Man with a hyphen, Spider-Man with no gap, Miles Morales, Miles and Morales, and PlayStation 5. And the amount of gameplay that's still on my recommended is insane. I've got suits, I've got boss fights, I've got team-ups, and I'm just like, I don't want to see any of this. But then at the same time, saw this earlier today, I got a few recommended videos of Spider-Man 3, the movie, and I ended up watching some highlights. So I can understand why it's in my recommended.
So did you break, though? That's the big question. Did you break? Did you actually watch it?
I haven't broken, but the issue is the suit trailers they're showing off. They're showing the suit in the thumbnails.
Oh no, that's the worst.
So regardless of if I click it or not, if I so much as scroll past it, I've been spoiled.
Oh.
And I really, really sincerely do not want to be spoiled on this game. Story-based, this is the game I'm most hyped for next gen.
I think it's like we said last time, it's my day one. It's the one I'm picking up with my PlayStation. Granted, I'll have Demon's Souls a week before the PlayStation comes. But I'll have already experienced the box art so much by that point that I won't be willing to play it frame one. Whereas Spider-Man, I'm going to pick it up at game and I'm going to get home, figure out where my PlayStation's going, and it's going in. I just cannot wait. I cannot wait. I'm so excited for it. Phil, you're going to love this. This might actually throw your entire life into disarray. Hideo Kojima put out that he's developing his next game, and there's job postings up at the moment.
Has he got any space for a web developer? I'll have to apply, mate.
There's roles for everything going up. There's game developers, there's production assistants, literally every single facet of game design you can think of. There's a role there. The problem is, Phil, it's in his Tokyo studio, and you've got to be Japanese fluent. So I know you and me did grade 1 Japanese in Korean college.
Just to interrupt you, I've been Duolingoing the whole of COVID, so I am ready for this. I've been training. I'm ready.
Oh my god!
And don't ask me to say any Japanese on the podcast, because looking at the stats and the analytics, I know our listener base is all English and they wouldn't understand what I'm saying.
That's true. You don't want to show anyone up, do you, by speaking your Japanese that you're fluent in?
Exactly.
No, I know, mate. I know. I don't want you to show off either. So we'll save that for another time.
I would just tell Hideo Kojima hi.
Wouldn't you say konbanwa?
I wouldn't know.
No, you wouldn't. It's too no.
No, I wouldn't be that confident, mate.
Duolingo's doing well then. Duolingo's doing well. The question I got to ask specifically to you, Phil, because I know your game of the gen last episode you were talking about was Death Stranding. Do you reckon he's working on Death Stranding 2, or do you think it's a new IP?
The end of Death Stranding 1 definitely left it open for Death Stranding 2 because of the twist. I don't want to spoil anything for people who haven't played the game yet, but I'd imagine, knowing Hideo Kojima, if he is getting his new kind of studio together, employing a bunch of new people, that we're going to see a new title out of him. I would say so.
What, you reckon it's going to be Death Stranding 2?
No. I reckon he's going to go down a new route if he's employing this many new people.
I mean, the thing about it is with video games, so as soon as a project wraps, their contract ends, then they get a new load of people on to be able to fulfill the next project.
But this is Kojima, right? So you've got to think, some of the crazy ideas that were going on in Death Stranding, do you not think he's got another game in him? Do you not think he's got another 10 games in him that he's, bubbling away in that mastermind, right? I would put it out there that, he's going to leave Death Stranding where it is at the moment, let the architecture and the kind of setup of PS5 live out a little bit and see what games come out, put something out quickly, and then go Death Stranding 2 once we understand what we can do with PS5.
Do you think he'd try and rekindle a relationship with Konami to potentially get back his work on Silent Hill?
A lot of people have been asking for that on Twitter. You see it all the time popping up, but I don't think it's going to happen. And I can't see another Metal Gear Solid with Kojima involved. I think he would just go out on his own, and I think he's got enough ideas in him that the next game is going to be, pure gold again.
I mean, this is the problem with trying to predict what he'd do, because it's so nuts. Like, if someone said to me, predict what Death Stranding is going to be, I'd never predict, I'm going to throw bottles of piss at ghosts. Ever. Like, ever in my life.
That was just one. That isn't the fundamental part of that game, but that's just one of the.
It's the combat.
Yeah. You've got guns.
You're firing your blood at them or your piss. If someone came to me in 2014, I know you're excited to play Metal Gear Solid 5, but do you know that his next project after that is going to be a game where you're delivering packages and throwing piss and shooting blood at ghosts? Like, what? No. What the fuck are you on about?
You're missing a caveat with every time you try and put down his work there, Davey.
I'm not putting it down. That's what it is. That's factual.
What you need to say is that you're going along making deliveries. You are throwing piss at ghosts, and you are shooting them with your blood, but it all makes sense.
It does. That's
and it does. Thing. It really does. You totally understand why you're doing it. Once playing Death Stranding for an hour, you're like, I need to go to the toilet.
So true.
And it's a resource in the game, right? You don't look at it as being a weird kind of abstract idea that somehow affects these kind of spiritual beings in some way. No, you're like, I need a piss.
The crazy thing about it is that in that entire world, the only thing that doesn't make sense is the only drink is Monster. That's the only thing that doesn't make sense. It's like the entire world's gone to shit, but Monster is still going, and they're going really well.
Still going strong, mate.
So you got Monster Energy are just everywhere. And they don't have a problem with this distribution network because they're in every single place you go, and you're constantly carrying it. So, in fact, if anything, I'd encourage our listeners to invest in Monster now before the Death Stranding event happens, because you know that they're a company that's going to last. I haven't seen anyone else there everything else is 3D printed, but the Monster, The monster's on site.
What you got to ask yourself is that, who's delivering the monster?
Maybe that's Death Stranding too.
Maybe they should have got him on board because he's clearly doing a good job and it's always on time.
He would have wrapped the game up in about 10 minutes.
He's mainlined the quest. He's straight to endgame, mate.
Maybe that's the plot of Death Stranding 2, is that you're the guy who delivers the monster to the bases for Sam, which is Norman Reedus' character, to drink on his quest.
Well, I mean, you were the guy that was delivering the pizzas, so he needs to bring the drinks.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
Maybe it's a multiplayer. I love games where, two people could play at the same time. We played Resident Evil 5 together, loved the game. Why not bring a second character into the Death Stranding 2?
The problem with that is, Phil, we wouldn't be able to play it because it would need PlayStation Plus.
No, it wouldn't. It would mean that you would need to come to my house, like the old days, and play on what's known as a LAN. And I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think everything will need to go through the PlayStation Network or be online. But of course, Death Stranding is a PC title as well. So you never know. It might be multi-platform, and I can play Death Stranding 2 on my PC, and you can pay £10 a month and play with me.
I can't argue with that one.
Right, boys. So after that conversation that I clearly had no say in, I haven't played Death Stranding, and I'm not sure if I intend to. Our next topic of conversation is the custom side panels that have been released and that are shown on Twitter and everywhere. Basically, you can already purchase custom side panels for the PS5. And after seeing the teardown, we know they'll fit. We know you can just replace the side panels. So what are your opinions?
I like it a lot, right? But I think it's just going to peter out quite quickly. I think initially there's going to be all these options of all the brand new games, and you're going to be like, brilliant, I would like all these things. But at the end of the day, once you put your PlayStation in situ under your cabinet, you probably aren't going to be that bothered about changing them at every single game. Maybe I'll buy them when I buy a big AAA, if for whatever reason Death Stranding 2 hits PlayStation 5, maybe I'll buy that. If the new Skylanders game comes out, I might buy the Skylanders edition, but we'll just have to see how it goes. I'll just cherry pick them, I think, but I wouldn't be buying them for every single game.
Yeah, I think Skylanders. Are you in some kind of sponsorship deal with Skylanders? That you've mentioned them at least 5 times an hour.
Yeah, I know.
You probably don't realise this when you listen to this back, but literally every single topic, Phil somehow looped it back round to Skylanders. I don't know if I managed to sort that out on the edit or not. Is the way this is going is that Skylanders have paid Phil, but Phil's then passed that money on to Spencer. So we got this entire thing where I'm on my own, and I've got Skylanders, Phil, and Spencer working against me. And even though I don't think Skylanders is even in business anymore, so they've somehow wanted to re-get their market share out there by approaching Phil for potential sponsorship. I mean, Phil, is this some kind of Russian collusion, but with Skylanders?
All I can say is that Activision is a very persuasive company. They have seen our figures on, episode 1, and they just want some subtle marketing, and I thought I'd agree.
Subtle?
It is. It has been subtle. It has been subtle. I mean, how many beers is everyone down right now?
Oh, mate. 2, 4, 6. I'm not 6 down. Hang on. I'm on my 5th.
I'm on my 5th.
Yeah, I'm down 6 Skylanders.
I'm starting to think if you bought my buds at all, or if the money just came straight from Skylanders.
Straight from Activision. Yeah, that's why I've got all this money to throw around.
That's why I'm noticing all those Transformers in the background of your video have been replaced with little Spyro figures, and little Skylanders everywhere. And you're wearing a Skylanders t-shirt.
Just a big fan, mate. I just find it, really awkward when people, do things for money. It's really... But for me, I'm just a big fan of Skylanders.
Well, no, I mean, going back to what you were saying, Spence, I saw the website, right? So the website in question that you're referencing is PlayStation5.com. So it's PLATESTATION 5.com. And they've got all different colours up, all different SKUs that you can have. So they've got a red one, black one, grey one. I think I've seen a blue. There's a blue one on there, right? And a silver?
There's definitely a blue one. I'll open the link right now.
And they look real nice, man. The mock-ups they've done look so good. But I am really concerned with changing the sides of my PlayStation. I know it's supposed to be easy, and looking at the teardown video last week, we were talking about how we can't wait for Sony to put out their own ones for us to replace them.
I do think we also mentioned, though, that we could be seeing third-party plates. And that happened quick.
I've got a feeling we got a mole in our podcast. Because whatever we seem to be saying seems to be happening. And this happened to me and Phil in the gym when we used to play Capcom games. And they used to implement everything we said.
It's Phil.
It's Phil again. He's taking more money. He'll have them all. He'll have every single plate in the background.
He's been bought by Activision, bought by Capcom in the past. They just put me out into the market, and I kind of just test things, put things out, see what's happening.
Someone needs to answer the call, mate. Someone needs to answer the call.
I'm looking at the plates right now, and there's 5 different colours. There's the cherry red. There's a chrome one, which I think, not gonna lie, will look disgusting. It looks great on the mock-up, but I don't think it'd look good in practice. The blue one looks amazing, and I think it'd go well with the LEDs. There is a green one for you, Phil. There's a jungle camo. And then there's a matte black one, which, again, I think would look quite amazing. But for me, this doesn't mean much. If, say, Last of Us 3 or Last of Us 2 Remastered came out on PS5, and they made one, like, with that sort of branding, I'd be all in. I'd love to have that. And it saves you with the past generations. You'd have to buy a whole new console just to get that customization. Whereas now you just change the plates. And if it breaks, you still have your original white one. You could buy more. It's nice, really, isn't it? To be able to customize inexpensively.
All right, guys, real talk. How often would you do this, right? Whenever the next game comes out, or is it's a bit more like, I suppose, when you would buy like a special edition of a game, you would expect the plates to come with it.
Oh, that would be such a good tie-in. Oh my god, that'd be so good. I love having themes with my games. My theme at the moment is The Last of Us 2, which came with my special edition version, and I love it. I love it so much.
Because I can't imagine just buying a green version of a PlayStation. I can't imagine buying a chrome version of a PlayStation. But I could imagine buying a Death Stranding 2 version of a PlayStation, or maybe the new Skylanders version of a PlayStation.
Hit the nail on the head. Yeah.
Yeah, so if God of War came out and they said, yeah, we're going to release these white plates and they got the God of War symbol on it and it comes with the special edition of the game, instead of a statue or something, I'd be in immediately. 120 quid, game, side plates, DLC, happy with that.
Yeah, because that's what you'd imagine to happen, really. That you would buy your AAA title, you would get your statue, you would get your theme for your PlayStation, you would get your sides, and potentially like a key ring or some in-game content as well, wouldn't you? It would just be another addition to that sort of collector's version of the game.
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree. And
yeah, I completely agree.
I can't see myself going down the road of buying a green one or a blue one. It would have to be related to a game once it came out, when I'm already bought into the hype of whatever game's going to come out.
There's a Halloween sale on PlayStation Network that's running from now until the 2nd of November. Now, I'm not normally one for the PS sales. They're good, but when you compare them to Steam sales or anything else, they're normally a load of trash. But there's a load of stuff in this Halloween sale that I think is actually really decent. So I wanted to run you through kind of my top picks. Also, a couple of dissuaders in there as well, depending on what level of PlayStation nerd you are. And remember, you've only got until the 2nd of November. So if you're listening to this on the release date, then you've only got a few days. You've only got 5 days ahead of you to be able to get all these. So act quickly. So first off, you've got Helldivers. So Helldivers is a 4-player co-op game, or you can play it solo. It's a top-down shooter, absolutely incredible, really brutal, and it's only $3.99. Absolutely fantastic game. You should really check it out. Look at some trailers online. It's so good. Days Gone, £15.94. It was a release only from last year, so it's been already half discounted. Really decent. Worth checking out. Death Stranding. I mean, Phil.
Incredible game.
Do you need to add anything more to that? It's $23.64.
Bargain.
Such a good price. You need to check it out. Resident Evil Revelations Collection. Now, this is $13.99, and this is Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2 for PS4. I've bought this myself, $13.99. That's discounted by half. If you're a Resident Evil fan, if Revelations is something you haven't checked out, it's a return to the series in terms of horror. The first one is solo play, but the second one is co-op throughout. It's worth a check out. I haven't played it yet, but I've heard so many good things.
I've played them. They're great.
You played them both, have you?
Yeah, they're great.
Oh.
But I love Resident Evil, so I'm very much biased.
Biased, yeah.
Completely biased.
But I mean, that's the thing. There's so many Resident Evil fans like myself who have played so many of the titles, but just have missed out on a couple. And if you missed out on that for $13.99, what is the problem? Like, that's such a good price. Devil May Cry Collection, which is Devil May Cry 1, 2, and 3.
So if you don't like God of War and you are looking for that hack and slash kind of game, DMC is a very good alternative.
Or if we put it another way, if you love God of War, then DMC isn't as good as that, but it's a decent contender. Now, number 1 of Devil May Cry is really good. Number 2 is shit. Number 3 I haven't played, but I've heard that's really good.
It's really good. It's really good. Yeah, it's
Really good.
And that's £12.49. Here's one that I can speak to fully for playing, and I think this is a great price for both. Raccoon City Collection, which is the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake, £32.49. So the original game, if Capcom had their way, would have released at £40, $39.99. So it's discounted from that, £32.49. Both absolutely incredible games, really worth your time, worth a checkout. And the final one on my list for games that I think are worth your time, Medieval. Now, I've yet to play it, but everything I've read and seen about it looks absolutely incredible. And it's £12.49 for the entire game. One caveat I would put onto this, if you have PlayStation Now, a few of these games are already free to you. The games that are free are Days Gone and Medieval. So, if you already have PlayStation Now, go onto the service, go onto PlayStation Now, download Days Gone and download Medieval before they go off. You don't get to keep them indefinitely. Obviously, they're already on there as long as the game is featured on PlayStation Now. But they only got added literally a couple of weeks ago. Days Gone is good, overrated to a certain extent, but it is good to check out. And Medieval, supposed to be decent, a short romp, about 8 hours long. Worth a check out for both of these, and especially as they're free. Death Stranding isn't unfortunately on there, but I can imagine will be on the service pretty shortly, especially as now it's already on PC.
So, talking about the Halloween sale, I have one blight with the Halloween sale, and obviously it's only specific to PS5 users, people that are going to be getting PS5 on day one. But Days Gone, I'm sure, is a great game, and it's probably worth the £16 price that they're selling it for. But if you're getting a PS5, you would have to be an idiot to buy this game on the sale, unless you're so eager to play it, just because you're getting it for free on PS5, which is likely an enhanced version, maybe not, maybe it is, I don't know yet. But you're getting it for free on PS5.
It's bound to be an enhanced version. The game, even though it's great, had frame rate issues at certain points. I imagine it's going to be enhanced.
What sort of price is Days Gone on eBay these days? Because it's an older game. Is that an alternative to the $15.94?
I'll check for you right now. When I bought it myself off eBay, I paid £30 for it. And I bought it about 4 months after release.
On base.com, it's £14.85. You can get it for $18.99 on eBay.
Okay.
Pre-owned, 15 quid.
So there are cheaper alternatives if you want the physical edition.
But either way, regardless of all of that, just if you're willing to wait a month and you're getting a PS5, you will get it for free on day one of PS5, and it will likely be an enhanced version.
What do you need to have to get that, Spence?
To get that, you need to have PS Plus. So if you have PS Plus on day one of PS5, or likely throughout the PS5 lifespan, you will get the PS Collection, which is 18 games of like the PS4's top collection, which is just too good to pass up for anyone.
And unless you already own these games, then it's a complete waste of money, and you're just paying again for the same things you already own.
Except for the fact that they're likely enhanced versions of the games.
But if you've already completed them and you're only paying that extra to play an enhanced version of the game, wouldn't you rather put that money into a new?
No, because I've bought Last of Us. I have Last of Us digital, Last of Us Remastered in digital and physical, and yet it's probably one of the first games I'm going to play on PS5 as part of the PS Collection, even if it's not enhanced, because I love the game so much.
So we're on episode 2, and I think our listeners already understand that you're a big fan of The Last of Us. I'm talking about your general kind of free games that are coming out, you know, your Days Gone. Would you want to play an enhanced version of that if you've already completed that? Davey, I hear you've got quite far in Days Gone. Would you be going back on an enhanced version of Days Gone?
I've platinumed it.
Well, there we go. Would you go back for an enhanced version?
No. The reason why I wouldn't go back, to go against your argument, is because the game is too long. The game is too long. It stays around for way too long. It stays around for 20 hours too long than it used to. The gameplay's fun, but it's not good enough. However, God of War, which I have played, and I have platinumed, and I've played the entire way through, I am desperate to run back through for a second time, because it's so good. Just like our reader, Joseph Thomas, messaging about God of War and how you should play it, that is a game that is well worth the price of a year of PlayStation Plus on its own.
I've heard God of War claps, so I'm willing to play
Claps.
the first hour.
He said clap.
He's not in his prime. He's not in his prime.
I'm willing to play that first hour as long as we see you on stream playing League of Legends, Davey. You know,
We've already settled this, mate. I'm quite happy to do that before the next episode. Quite happy to do that. But I think that's all the PlayStation 5 news and PlayStation news that we have for this week. Anything else you guys want to add or anything you want to say to the audience before we leave for the 2 weeks?
Just want to say thank you to all our listeners. We really appreciate all the feedback. I know a couple of you have messaged me, and thank you very much. It's really encouraging, and we'll do our best to keep providing this quality content going forward.
For me, again, thank you everyone for listening. It's brilliant. We really enjoyed doing this. It's a lot of fun. Obviously, I haven't had quite the feedback Phil has. Not sure why. Maybe my opinions aren't divisive enough. Who knows? But yeah, thanks.
I just want to say to you guys, thank you ever so much for all the support that you've given to the show already. Obviously, sharing it on your social media platform of choice really helps. So do reviews. So if you're on Apple Podcasts especially, please put a review on the channel. Let us know how we're doing. It all helps. Any feedback you have, any questions, anything you want to ask any of us, write into the email, PSwetrust@gmail.com. Thank you very much. So take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. See ya.
Peace.
In PS We Trust is hosted by Davey, Phil, and Spencer. You can write into the show via our email, pswetrust@gmail.com. Our Twitter is @InPSWeTrust. To find each of us online, follow our Twitters, @SSJDavey, @PhilipHoy, @SpenPie_. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. See ya.